Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to One and Done, powered by drroto.com. My name is Chris, aka Nate C. Hustle, here for a recap of a wild week 4 in college basketball. But first, let me bring in the captain of the Green Screens media train here, Mr. Mike Holland. What's up, brother?
What up? First of all, what is up is a crazy weekend in college basketball. Secondly, the new black fit is there right here, one and done right there. So hopefully we're selling this stuff soon, but I don't know where we're at with that. We'll have to talk to with Eric on that. But yeah, man, I'm excited. DK has been okay. Prize Picks has been popping off. Made some money there this weekend. And yeah, it was just fun to watch all these upsets, man. So excited, looking forward to talking about a breakdown of everything that kind of happened and also running down some best bets. And you know what we got for you? We got the Core Four for the people that are able to wait up a little bit later tonight.
Yeah. Right on. Yeah, that's always a big draw for us, right? Well, of course, I can't bring in Mike without bringing in the Baron of Bread, Mr. Eric Romoff. How we doing?
Man, doing real good. Mike's burying the lead here about DraftKings. The very last Core Four that we gave out, I think went 5.5x, exactly what you're looking for from that foundation out there, and that underscores how strong we've been on these Prize Pick streets. Right, basically every night we're out there stacking up this bread in Prize Picks. There are some very soft markets out there, so we'll definitely.
If I don't win first, man, then it's a loss. So
yeah, if you're not first, you're last. Mike's operating on the Ricky Bobby philosophy, and our favorite Ricky Bobby impersonator, Jay Heinrich, the conductor of the GSM train, taking the night off, kicking off his shoes, relaxing his feet. Showed Jay a little love in the comments. Let him know that you want to see him back, and can't wait to jump into this Week 4 recap.
Right on. Well, let's for everybody watching on YouTube, and make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so you get all the updates whenever we're coming on. That little thumbs up, that little bell, and get notified. But let's just jump right in. I mean, it is upset madness this weekend as unranked teams just got beat up. Unranked teams beat up on the top 25, I should say. We had number 1 Purdue at Northwestern, number 3 Marquette at Wisconsin, number 7 Duke at Arkansas and at Georgia Tech. We had Kentucky, number 12, at home to UNC Wilmington, number 14 Texas A&M at Virginia, number 18 Villanova at home to St. Joe's and at home to Drexel, number 21 Mississippi State at Georgia Tech and at home to Southern. And finally, number 22 at home, Alabama to Clemson. Long list, right? Let's start with
a lot of teams.
Yeah, a lot of teams. Northwestern taking down number 1 Purdue for the second straight year at home. Mike, you called it. Give us some takeaways on that.
I called it. I told you guys to just get that bread on. I don't remember what we said the plus line was. I think it was plus 240. So if you went ahead and did Northwestern straight up, you're feeling good about that call. But yeah, man, an awesome game, 92 to 88. It was an overtime game. Northwestern, man, playing some solid ball. Love what Coach Collins has done. Only committed 3 turnovers. They shot 50% from 3. Purdue only shot 26% from 3, and they had 17 turnovers. So that's what helped Northwestern take this game down. Really helped offset the Edey game. I mean, he went absolutely bonkers. They had a 21 rebound in favor of Purdue. So, taking care of the ball and shooting well from 3 when your opponent turns the ball over and doesn't shoot well from 3, that's a really good recipe there for a upset. And then Boo Buie, man, just adding to his legacy, 31-9 in that game. Ty Berry and Ryan Langborn, they were really good in that game. Like, Northwestern's looking to make the tournament for the 3rd time in its history, and it'd be the first time them going back-to-back. So that just tells you what Bowie's brought to this program and how Coach Collins has been able to turn this program into a contender in the Big Ten. So I think for Purdue, it's pretty simple. Someone has to go along with Edey. And if not, this is the reason why, a lot of people when it comes to the tournament are going to be, maybe off of them because the last 3 years they've lost to a double-digit seed.
Yeah, that's a tough thing to get over, right? But it looks like we have a little comment there. We got somebody commenting.
Yeah, somebody named Corey.
Hey, who's that guy?
Like in the black kit tonight. Mike, show the people again, right as there. I remind everyone that Purdue not only lost 2 double-digit seeds in each of the last 3 years. It was a 14, a 15, and a 16 seed. A fairly epic fail in the first round. So Purdue is definitely hoping to shake those ghosts. And we've also got Thomas Michaels in
here.
Hey,
what's up, Thomas?
His headline of the week. Rest in power.
Oh man, where's Jay for this one?
We'll definitely talk about this Marquette game. And Thomas, you're officially on Jay Heinrich burner watch. You might be his second account. Appreciate you swinging through, my guy.
Appreciate it, everybody. Appreciate it. And them losing to a 16 team or a 16 seed last year. There's no 17 seed, so I mean they can't do any worse, right?
Absolutely.
Well, let's go ahead, Eric. Duke losing at Arkansas is one thing, but to follow it up at Georgia Tech is another. Are the Bluedevils overrated?
The $1 million question. Look, I mean, if you unpack this last week for them, like no real shame in losing to a solid Arkansas team, 80-75. But then in that Georgia Tech game, like they lose Proctor in like the first minute and fall 72-68. Looking at that Arkansas game, like they just didn't shoot well, right? 27% from 3, 10 missed free throws. That's certainly not going to get it done. Filipowski got himself into foul trouble. Arkansas last year, like they were a tournament team and made a pretty solid run. So like, it's a tough spot in that you're going to see teams, drop these kind of games here and there. But then you look at Georgia Tech, and it's starting to get a little worrisome, right? 25% from range in that game, another 8 missed free throws. Filipowski, not so much the foul trouble that we saw in the game prior, and he was just kind of okay. Mark Mitchell, he came off the bench, pretty average to start the year. The thing for the Bluedevils is like they were kind of looking for that. That spark from this recruiting class, and they just kind of haven't seen it yet, right? So, like, for me, I think this is still going to be a very competitive team throughout the duration of the season, right? But, like, the ceiling is legitimately in question until we start to see some of these recruits really step it up to the pace and the level of the collegiate game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, got to get some minutes underneath them, I guess, right, to see how they truly are.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Mike, Wisconsin with a monster win at home against number 3 Marquette. Is this just another case of a top-ranked team struggling on the road, or?
Yeah, I mean, look, like Wisconsin kind of dominated this game for the most part. I mean, they had a big lead to start the game. The second half, Marquette made a comeback there, but then Wisconsin stretched it out, got the 75-64 victory. Look, man, like both teams didn't shoot well. Cam Jones played well, but Tyler Kolek, he's been kind of average this year. David Joplin for Marquette, he just couldn't stretch the floor. I think it was 1 for 9 from 3. And then Iguodaro in the middle just kind of got beat up. I mean, just 5-5-2 with 4 turnovers. Wisconsin, this is a great resume win for them. Last year they were the proverbial 11th team, I think, left out, or the first team left out of the Big Ten. 14 teams, 18 teams, whatever Jay Heinrich likes to tell us. But yeah, they were on the bubble last year, so this is a good resume win for them. Max Klesmit, he's kind of the forgotten man. I mean, he was excellent. He had 21 points in this game. Like Crowell and Wall, they dominate the boards. That was a huge difference in this game. They had 4 offensive rebounds each. So that just kind of shows you, like, Marquette struggling with bigs has always been a thing. That's something that we target in DFS all the time, and kind of showed its face here. And there's no let up. We got road games at Michigan State and Arizona for old Wisconsin here. So yeah, it's about to get interesting for this Wisconsin team. Maybe if they can grab one more of those, that would be a really big boost to their resume before they head into Big Ten play.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm an Arizona State fan, so if they could beat Arizona, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure.
Moving on, Eric, going back to you to talk about Kentucky here. They beat a ranked Miami team, then lost to Wilmington this weekend. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, kind of a roller coaster week for them, right? They came out. I mean, to say they beat Miami, I would say they pretty well dominated them, 95-73. But then, like you mentioned, on the other end, go and pee down their leg and lose to Wilmington, 80-73. And in what can really only be called like kind of a weird week, right? Like looking at that Miami game, Reed Shepherd comes in relief for an injured DJ Wagner and just completely goes off, right? And overall, like they have to be really happy with how this game came together. They played team ball. They really limited their turnovers and took care of the ball. 26 assists and 7 turnovers, right? So like a lot of things
that
to
works.
like about. Yeah. A lot of things to like about how that Hurricanes game went. And then Wagner also misses the Wilmington game, and this one was just kind of weird, right? Like they were behind for the majority of the first half. They came back to take an early lead in the second, and then just completely fell apart down the stretch. Shepherd was awesome, but Dillingham, Edwards, some of these younger guys, they kind of struggled, right? So like no knock on Wilmington. They're a solid team overall, right? Nobody would have certainly expected this result in particular, but for the Kentucky side, like looking at this Wilmington team, you've got Teresian White, like one of the top mid-major players in the country. They couldn't stop him. He went for 27 and 10. With so many young guys in limited size for Kentucky, like this isn't entirely shocking that White was able to post that kind of board, that kind of production. But the good news for Kentucky, they did get 5-star, 7-foot freshman Aaron Bradshaw back. He played 13 minutes. I'm expecting to see him, kind of ramp up his time on the court as we get more and more games under his belt. And look, the reality is, like, with Kentucky, a lot of times, because they're often a young team, with many young teams and blue blood programs, like they're not going to be the same squad when we get into February, right? Like when everyone's healthy, when these kids grow up a little bit and get some more time in the college ranks, I still think Kentucky is going to be able to make a lot of noise this year in the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they just need to get, like I said earlier, you need to get the minutes, and by February, it'll be a lot different for sure. Mike, we're going to go to the last one here. Villanova, who every week is a roller coaster, drops those 2 games. How can it be this inconsistent?
Yeah, this is weird, man. Like I'm looking at their resume right now. Wins over Maryland, Texas Tech, North Carolina, and Memphis. And then you have losses to Penn, St. Joe's, and Drexel. Like, what are we doing? This is insane. I think the problem is they should probably start taking the ball to the basket. 37 threes, and you shoot 27% and turned over 16 times against St. Joe's. Then you shoot 27 threes, so they're like, all right, we're going to take it to the basket a little bit more. But then you shoot 19% from 3 against Drexel. So, yeah, man, they need some outside shooting. I mean, both these losses are at home. They're not good losses. Like, they're going to have to play well in the Big East. And I don't really know what else to say, man. Like, Coach Neptune, like, he's under a lot of fire right now for everything that's kind of happened. And they have this Big East gauntlet that they're going to have to go through. So, but so much talent on the roster, and they're also experienced. Like, I get that it's a bunch of transfers that are coming and playing key roles, right? But they're 10th in D1 experience on Ken Palm. They got 7 seniors. Kind of like the freshman thing. Like, this is a lot of these teams, though, they are different by the time they get minutes together, like continuity. That's another thing. So, they could look different in February as well. So I'm not ready to jump off the ship. I mean, cause for alarm when you have these losses, but when everyone's getting these losses early in the season, like Auburn falling today, it's just complete madness. Like you said, Chris, like, I don't know, man. Like, so for me, I'm not off the Villanova train because I still like them to make some noise later this year, but it's getting a little bit tougher.
Yeah, for sure. It's just got to ride that roller coaster now, right?
Yeah, man, get your tickets now, Villanova.
Yeah. And well, yeah, it's crazy. This weekend's upset took away from Kansas's win at home against UConn, right? So it's
that's a bummer.
Yeah,
like any other week, and that would have easily been our headline, right?
Yeah.
And now we're hardly even going to talk about it. I think it was like the first time in 60 years that the two prior national champions faced off in this part of the season.
That was a great game too.
Crazy game.
Yeah.
That's insane.
UConn almost pulled it off at the last second three, but Cam Spencer couldn't put it down. So, but yeah, man, it was a crazy week. So let's move on.
For sure. Yeah, let's move on. We'll talk about some explosive performers. We'll go ahead and get this list going. Mike, why don't you give us the first player on this week's list?
Yeah, I gotta give some love to RJ Davis for North Carolina, man. He's averaging 20 points per game, 3 assists, back-to-back 27-point performances this week and wins over Tennessee and Florida State. He's having a career year in scoring. They needed it. And yeah, he's looking like a true game breaker now offensively. So yeah, it's good to see Davis having this kind of year.
Yeah, I mean, Tar Heels are playing really well for sure. Eric, who is number 2 on our list here?
Yeah, for me, I gotta talk about our guy PJ Hall, the big man for Clemson, 21.3 points and 7 boards on the season. Doing that while chipping in better than 2 blocks and 41% from range. He went 21-11 in the win against Pitt earlier today. He went 21-8 earlier this week in leading the Tigers to a big upset win over Alabama. I mean, the guy's playing at an All-American level. I think he was on the optimal earlier this week if we want to shift to the DFS side a little bit. So, I mean, we talked about him over the course of the offseason as a guy that we were really hopeful as someone that could take a step forward. And, we're about a month into the season, and we're seeing a lot to like about PJ Hall so far.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, with players like him, I mean, Clemson has a real chance to make some noise in the ACC this year. So moving on, Mike, who is the third player on our spotlight?
Yeah, I got to give some love to my boy, Ryan Nembhard from Gonzaga. 13 points and almost 6 assists per game this year. But really ratcheted up this week, 15-7 in the road win yesterday at USC. It's in a crazy stat where Gonzaga's beaten 8 straight Pac-12 teams, which is, I guess we can't say that next year. But, he's been everything for the Bulldogs. And they were missing that point guard spot last year. So someone at floor general to get Mark Few's offense going. And, yes, you were seeing them reaping the benefits of this transfer for sure.
Yeah, definitely. The Bulldogs are back on track, right? Moving on to player number 4, Eric, who you got?
I'm going to go with Sean East for the Mizzou Tigers. About 16 points on the season, shooting lights out from downtown, 59% from 3. And a lot of this is at least bolstered by his performances earlier in the week that was, in week 4. 22 points, 9 boards, 3 steals in the win over Wichita State today. Earlier in the week, dropped a 21 spot in a big road win over Pitt. East is really, it feels like he's answering the call here, and it's if he keeps playing at this level, he's gonna have Missouri at least in the conversation in the overall SEC picture.
Yeah, Coach Gates and the Tigers showing they once again will be players in the SEC. Mike, give the mid-majors, as Jay would say, some love with number 5 here.
Yeah, man, we got to talk about A.J. Mitchell. We talked a lot about him last year. UC Santa Barbara missed a few games to start the year, but he's averaging 23, 5, and 4, shooting not quite Sean East level of three-point shooting, but 50%. I mean, just a dominating performance this week. 34-5 against Northern Arizona, and then 27-7-2 at Fresno State. This dude is locked in, looking like a first-round draft pick faux show. So a little love to the mid-majors there.
Yeah, I mean, I love shining a light on these players every week, but it's time to move on. It's time to move on to our 4th edition of the Power Rankings. But first, just want to make sure you like and subscribe all of our content here on YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter. You have Mike, excuse me, right there, MC Holland 34, sorry. And then you have Mr. Fantasy Nav at X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it these days.
Absolutely.
Drop us
another
a comment.
too.
Yeah, drop us a comment. Let us know how we're doing here if you have any questions. But moving on to the power rankings. Oh, go ahead.
You shall receive.
Ask and you shall receive. Corey pops in, wants to know where Myron is.
Where's Myron?
Want to talk a little bit about Lynn Kidd. Some decent games in losing efforts.
A one and done breakout player, Lynn Kidd. So got to give Lynn Kidd some love. They're playing okay. They got blown out by FAU, and then today. I don't know what to say about Virginia Tech, honestly. So they weren't on the topic list today, so we'll save that for another day.
Right on. Well, like I said, we got our power rankings here. Lots of movement this week, of course, with everything happening. Mike, why don't you run us down the 10 through 6 teams here?
All right. So, the power rankings this week, all out of control, man. It's a mess. But at number 10, we're going – this is tough to slot 10 and 9, man. We're really tough because there's a lot of teams that are kind of right there. But Florida Atlantic, got to put them back in. The blowout of Virginia Tech, they had a solid home win. Liberty's a really good mid-major. So, putting them back in at number 10, they're 7-1. So no change here because they were not in our top 10 last week. Entering for the first time, BYU at 9-0, giving some love to Coach Mark Pope. Continuing their hot start to the year. Really only played one game this week, but they smashed Fresno by 30 on the road. They smashed them by 30. So they have wins over San Diego State, Arizona State, NC State. Yeah, BYU doing their thing. So we'll see what they can bring to the Big 12 this year. And then Marquette coming in at number 8, 6-2, down 4 spots, tough loss on the road to that Wisconsin team that we talked about. The only other loss they had was in Maui to Purdue, so 6-2 right now. They are getting Texas at home this week in the Battle of the Shaka Smarts. So I know Jay will be watching that one very closely. Probably will tweet about it or whatever they're calling or post about it, I guess. The post. Number 7, we got Gonzaga, 6-1. They're up 3 spots. They smashed CSU Bakersfield earlier in the week. Really good road win at USC last night. Only loss was in Maui to Purdue. And Coach Few, man, they had a bunch of good options now, and they got Nembhard at point guard, so they are very dangerous. And speaking of Purdue, they will now come in at number 6 with their first loss. Yes, a big slide, down 5. A little bit of validation for me with the Northwestern loss, even though it had to go to overtime. This is kind of a big fall, right, for a first loss, but it was an unranked team. I just think that UConn and Kansas are just better teams. Somebody's got to make some shots for Purdue, man, like we talked about. So these would be numbers 10 through 6, and there's probably some opinions on that, but I'll get out of here so that way Eric can get going.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure they'll let us know in the comments. Yeah, I love seeing these new names on here, right? I mean, not just the normal top 10 that we always have. So seeing new names is always great. But yeah, moving on, Eric, what do you got for 5 through 1, the top 5 here?
Yeah, so coming in at number 5, down a couple spots from last week, the UConn Huskies. Look, they had that last-second road loss to Kansas. Plenty of teams are going to suffer a similar fate there on the road to Kansas. So that's what bumps them down a couple of notches. But ultimately, that was an incredible game, right? UConn still looks to be a hyper-competitive team. Still look to be the class of the Big East, right? They're going to have another tough test this week against North Carolina. I think they've certainly got the horses to be competitive with any team on any given night. So they're coming in at number 5. Coming in at number 4, Mike's Baylor Bears, jumping up from the huddled masses of the unranked, all the way up to number 4. Biggest mover of the week. They beat up on some easy competition this week, but this was one of those weeks where if you didn't lose, or even if you didn't play, you probably moved up the rankings a little bit. Besides the easier competition over the course of the year, they've got wins over Auburn and Florida. They're one of the few undefeated teams in the land. And over these next 3 days, they're home against Seton Hall. They're on the road against Michigan State. right? So like they're going to see Duke. We'll find out a lot about these Bears in the coming days. Kansas checking in at number 2. They were victorious in that big game against Utah. Number three, excuse me. They were victorious in that big game against UConn, so that's going to move them up. They're also they also torched Eastern Illinois earlier in the week. We've talked a lot about Kansas's struggles shooting specifically from the wing. Kevin McCullough, at least over the course of this last week, might be part of that answer. Continues to be a star. Like he's played, 32 minutes in basically every game. They really need him to stay healthy, but Kansas certainly feels good getting that win at home. Number 2, another unbeaten team, the Houston Cougars. They are up 6 spots. Another big mover for the week. Very nice road win at Xavier. Now they are number 1 in adjusted defense in the country. And the schedule, gets a little easier outside of a road date with Texas A&M in a couple of weeks. And then back up to number 1, the return of Arizona. The Wildcats move up that 1 spot. They reclaim the top spot on the list. They smashed a really good Colgate team this week. The resume has taken a bit of a hit with kind of the rocky road that Duke has been on, but overall, this should be the number 1 team in the country by our count.
Right on. Yeah, I mean, everybody out there, let us know what you think. Do you agree with us? I mean, I love these power rankings. I mean, especially with this week being so crazy.
Yeah.
I love seeing the ups and downs. We have somebody who is not ranked up into the number 4 spot. Like that's awesome, right? It just makes it more fun.
Bears.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Well, time for some DFS action. Let's get into that, Mike. What is our core 4? And maybe if you want to sprinkle in a little some of your thoughts on a few other guys.
Some core 4 and a little more. Yeah, man. So well, first, I mean, it's a 5-gamer on a Monday, so it's okay. Like the matchups aren't I think the matchups are okay as a college basketball fan, but for the DFS spot, I'm like, I don't know about this week. But I'm going to start with Damari Wheeler-Thomas. He is a guard from North Dakota State. He's 6,200, playing San Jose State at home. Look, if you're looking for someone with a floor, with a good price, I mean, he's right there. 24 fantasy points in the last 4 games. Basically playing 30 minutes a game, 30 plus. So he's going to be out on the floor. I know this game isn't the most exciting game, but it's a tight game. The spread on KenPom is 1 point. So it's going to be going back and forth. We got some blowouts on this 5-gamer. He's got a 21% shot rate, a 23% usage rate, and a 22% assist rate. And when he's on the floor for that many minutes, he's going to have a solid floor with a little bit of upside there for you. Myron Amy is going to be the second player from San Jose State. He's 6,400. He is obviously on the other side of that game. The last 4 games for him, 37 fantasy points, 30, 26, and 35. So another guy with some great floor action and some really good upside. Highest usage rate on the team at 25%, highest shot rate on the team at 28%. And North Dakota State doesn't play a lot of defense, 341st in defensive efficiency. So take advantage of Amy here. JP Pegues, the guard from Furman. He's in the core right now. This could change. He's 7,000. This is where we go for the core 4, or actually not or someone else. We have to keep an eye on Marcus Foster, the guard there. For some reason, he's $1,000 cheaper, even though he's their best player. He's 6,000. He only played a few minutes the other night. So if he's out, which is going to be tough information to come by, usually you'll find this out maybe 5 minutes before lock. Good luck to you on that, especially with a mid-major team. If you find out Foster's out, you want to play Pegues. If you find out he's in, you want to play him. So he's $1,000 cheaper, and he's got the best rates on the team. He's had a hell of a season so far. We spotlighted him. I don't know if it was last week or the week before in Explosive Performers. So shout out to him on that as well. And the last player is going to be Trevon Brazile, the forward, Arkansas 7,500, playing Furman. So on the other side of this game as well, he's been crushing, getting major minutes in tight games. Like, this is a 12-point spread, but Furman's one of the better mid-majors, especially if Foster plays. Arkansas's implied total is to score 87 points. He's got a floor of 30 in 3 of the last 4. So at 7,500, the prices kind of come up, but I think he's another guy that you definitely want to get in here. So if you play those 4 guys, that leaves you with 57.25 for the last 4 spots, with a little extra change if Foster's in for Furman. So Foster would slide into that Pegues spot for the core 4 if he's in. But as of right now, it'd be Wheeler, Thomas, Amy, Pegues, and Brazil. Just some other thoughts real quick before we move on from this. Like Cole Merrill, the forward from Oregon State, he's 4,400. Played 28 minutes, but you got to be careful with Oregon State. They're kind of a mess, and they play everybody. Like Villanova is one of my favorite players, but now he's barely playing. They play a bunch of guys, but Cal State Poly, the opponent, I mean, they're pretty miserable on the defensive end. They're 341st in defensive efficiency. Because of that, you also have to look at Pope. He's 7,600. You also have to look at Akano. He's 6,300. So, you may want to get at least 1 or 2 Oregon State guys for sure. So Cole Merrill, definitely someone to look at, especially at a forward spot where it's really tough to find value. And then you got to slide over to the Alabama side. Mark Sears, he's 8,900 now, which is crazy. I don't know that I'm going to get there, but he's in the player pool. Aaron Estrada, I'd rather play for $1,000 cheaper. He's 7,900. So you can get one of those guys at the guard position there. I think you want to do that. Grant Nelson, he's 8K. All these guys are risky just because the implied total is 94. It could be a blowout, and they play a million guys. Now, kind of what helps Nelson's cause is that Pringle is suspended. So that puts one less dude in the front court, but it actually might add another guy who is almost a 5-star freshman. So, that's why you have to look at Stevenson. He's 5K. Waggy is 3,700. Walters is 3,600. I think Walters is probably the most intriguing of all those guys in a blowout scenario, just because we know he has some scoring ability, and he's a real cheap way to play a forward. So definitely a dangerous punt, but one I'll probably take a few shots on. He played well in the preseason from a lot of reports, and he's just a guy with a lot of talent. So you're looking probably at a 4-man rotation instead of a 5-man rotation now in the front court, which – it's not great. You hope Nelson gets 30 minutes even in a blowout, but that's not secure. So a little dangerous, but you want some guys from Alabama. They're going to score 94 points. It may just be a one-off situation though. And we got to talk about our favorite, Zach Edey's 11.5. Just go ahead and play him. Maybe it goes to overtime, and maybe you get the 60 bomb, right? Because that's what happened last game, especially after I said that last slate. So comes back to haunt me. Anything can happen at this price point. Foul trouble could have, there's so many things. He could have just a regular game for him, which is 2011, and that's not enough. And you're going to need a bunch of value pieces to hit. Now, there's some sneaky ones, like Furman has Vanderwall. He's 3,400. Arkansas has Davenport, who's been starting. He's 3,300 and only shoots threes. So if you want to play one of those guys and then to get to Edey and a Cole Merrill, okay. But man, it's tough playing him. Raw points could matter on a 5-game slate though. So it'll be interesting to see where his ownership draws. It's really tough to pay 11.5 when for one guy. But he's there. And then I was on the slate, they play too many dudes. So I can't get to them at their price points. It's kind of annoying. They run out 12 guys every game. So nobody really gets the big minutes there. But I think that'll break it down for the core 4 and some more info. It looks like, Myron's back in the comments. Despite him being a Hokie, he's holding it down for the kid name. Maybe, no relation, I guess, but throwing some shade with that being a Hokie. Appreciate it, Myron. Jumping back in the comments.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it, everybody. Awesome job on that breakdown, Mike. Hopefully everybody out there has their notepad and a pen out, taking those notes, But let's go ahead and move over. Eric, let's slide in to some bets here. We went 2 for 2 on Friday's games, taking our record to 17-13, sitting us at 57% for the year right now. What do you got for the people? What best bets we got here?
Yeah, 2-2 last time out, but up on units if you took that juicy plus 240 that Mike was suggesting for Northwestern. So the train keeps rolling here. For tomorrow's slate, I like Oregon State to cover 13 points at home against Cal Poly. I mean, look, this is an Oregon State team that is not without its issues, but they've had a tough non-con so far. Playing 3 games against top 50 opponents, including a very tough UC Davis team that they beat by 12. Right, so they're certainly a capable team. Cal Poly comes in as ranked 334th according to Ken Palm. Oregon State, their strength is on the defensive side. Cal Poly's issue is its offense. So there's certainly a chance that they're able to stifle Cal Poly and cover these 13 points. Second game that jumps out to me, Arkansas State and Alabama. I like this one to go over 165.5 point total. Look, I mean, both these teams are super fast. They shoot a ton of threes. Alabama's 35th in tempo. They're 77th in three-point rate, 10th in three-point percentage. So not only are they taking a bunch of threes, they're seeing a ton of them go through. Arkansas State, not quite as fast, but still plenty fast in their own regard, 134th in tempo, 41st in three-point rate, and 124th in three-point percentage. So these teams are going to be gunning. They're going to be making them rain from outside. Like them to go over 165.5 points. And then our last one, let's go with San Jose State on the road, straight up if you're trying to get a little bit of juice, or you can go +3 against North Dakota State. These are teams that have already played each other in San Jose on the 27th of November, so not that long ago. San Jose won that game by a total of 78-65. Both these teams are dragging out there. They're running super slow, both in the 300s in terms of tempo. In a tight matchup like this, like the three ball is an advantage, right? Like if there's going to be limited possessions overall, making your possessions more valuable by shooting the ball well from distance is a huge advantage. San Jose State, they're 46th in three-point rate, top 100 in the nation in three-point percentage, whereas North Dakota State, 353rd in opponent three-point percentage. They're giving up nearly 41% from downtown. So I like this one to go with the San Jose State side. Again, either straight up, or if you're looking to play it a little bit safer, you can take the 3 points.
Excellent rundown today, gents. And to everybody watching out there, hope you listened, hope you took your notes. Let's go out there. Let's get that bread. We hope everybody's doing well out there. But remember, go out, like and subscribe to keep up with everything college basketball here. And like I said, let's go get that bread.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.